Hello guys, welcome to this week's episode of DOS Bite. This week's episode we'll be talking about something I forgot to talk about last week, and that is the awesome, well I say awesome, but the nostalgia of the Nintendo 64's controller. And I really want to talk about this particular controller, and more specifically, is it good or bad? Now please, before we carry on, feel free as you're listening to this video to share your views and your memories of this great console. And you're probably thinking, what this got to do with DOS? Well, to be fair, around the time of playing the N64, I used to play a lot of DOS games, and the N64, just for me personally, just feels parallel with that sort of era for me personally. Now, I just wanted to talk about this controller particularly, and also put in the comments below, feel free to share your favourite or least favourite controller. Now, I'm sorry to any of you that love this controller, I have to be brutally honest, and it has to be my least favourite controller of all the game consoles I've ever used. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Now, game-wise, I have some of the fondest memories of a games console. Games like Ocarina of Time, give a big shout out. Obviously things like GoldenEye, Donkey Kong, Diddy Car Racing, Mario 64, and so many more. Could be here all day talking about each of them. And they were all brilliant games. Now, but for some reason, there was just something about the controller I just couldn't get my hands around. Now, I used to think perhaps I was rubbish to games, which to be fair, I probably was. But I don't know, there was a thing about it. You just sort of play it and you just sort of, it just always felt unnatural to me. So where you think most consoles nowadays is you sort of like two thumb sort of position with two sticks nowadays. And before and after this, you'd either be a couple of buttons and a sort of D-pad. I know there's games you can do that, but with a lot of the games on the N64, unless you mess around with the options, you were sort of doing this weird thumb action, pulling the trigger on the bottom, and I don't know, for me personally, it just never seemed to work. It just always felt like it needed a different controller. Now, if you look at something like the controller like that came later, the GameCube, for example, that would have been perfect for the N64. If they could go back in time, or if they ever re-released the N64, if they could give it the GameCube controllers, that'd be brilliant. I used to love the GameCube controller. It just felt more natural to hold, it just felt easier to use, and it just seemed to work. But for whatever reason, I don't know, put in the comments below if you enjoyed this controller, albeit. But a memory that just pops into the head, I can never remember the code, but I don't know if you remember on Ocarina of Time, you'd have to press these yellow buttons to do different sounds and codes on your ukulele? Sorry, I can't remember what the instrument was. What Link used to use on Zelda to, you know, bring your horse and all the rest of it. Ocarina. I suppose it must be an ocarina, mustn't it? Hence Ocarina of Time. Anyway, no, I don't know. There's just something about this controller. And just before we carry on, if you're getting value from this video, please consider subscribing and hit like if you're getting value. And also, we do have links in the description, affiliate links to things like floppy disks and stuff like that, if you're unsure where to get them from. So check that out after this video. But I don't know. There's just something about it. I know I keep saying it, but there's just something about it. I think maybe you just my hands just couldn't quite coordinate it properly. I just couldn't quite get used to it. And obviously I used to love the games, enjoy the games, but I just always felt like I was playing the game with one hand behind my back all the time. Like I felt like I could have done something a bit better. Now, I don't know if that was because at the time I was more used to playing games on keyboard or mouse, or perhaps before this I had things like a Sega Mega Drive, which just sort of, again, just felt more natural to hold. I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, I just couldn't get to grips with this controller. So, again, put in the comments below what you think of this controller, good or bad. What is your verdict? Is this controller good or is it bad? For me personally, I'm sorry Nintendo, I have to say bad. And on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing. I'm going to leave 2 end cards that are going to give you absolute value and more of this series. So look out for more videos where in the future we'll be talking about some DOS games and more about DOS and Windows. Look out for that. So for me, Dave, here on DOS Bite, have an absolutely great weekend and I'll see you down the road.